but I'm just gonna jump right in this evening and kind of tell you where we're gonna go. We have 2 classes on interior elevations in this class. Well, 2 lectures, and we have some more lab time. And we are moving stuff around this semester. Usually the way I start out is I teach people how to do it like the old school way. Essentially, how would you put drafting on top of a BIM model? But I've decided to flip that this semester and show you guys how to build an interior elevation using all BIM objects. And I think that our tiny house will be perfect for it just because it's tiny. You know, you can make this as detailed as you want. You can look at the original plans and try to mock up that exact kitchen, or you could just do as simple of space planning as you want it to be. But in a nutshell, where we're going tonight is all of you guys know where the components exist in Revit, as far as like where some maybe basic furniture is. You guys know where the windows are. If you don't, I'm going to show you what exists in Revit. And then I am going to just introduce you to some BIM links. And I just posted this right before class started. And with this, they are different companies that have Revit models. And this is always changing. Like, for example, the one that I just clicked on, Palantis, I use them all the time because they have IKEA furniture. And I buy a lot of IKEA. And just recently, they were purchased by a company called BIM Object, which was purchased by Revit about a year ago, too. And so these are constantly evolving. So there's a few standards that I'll show you tonight that I'm sure you can count on for a long time. But with a lot of these sites, they get bought up or new ones come up. So always be on the lookout for new and better Revit libraries. And when you do, share them with us, because it's always good to share good resources that we can use. There are a lot of paid sites, but unfortunately, some of the paid sites, they are just awful stuff. Like, you'll pay for pretty awful things. So I like to see what's free first before we start paying for stuff. So any questions about where we're going tonight with the BIM object stuff? No? Okay. So tonight, what we're going to do again is we're going to be doing interior elevations using BIM objects only. So essentially what we need to do is we need to find 3D versions of everything we want to put in the space. And what I'd like to do is start out in the bathroom. Now I need some details in here too. I have a somewhat older file here. I don't know what I did with my more detailed file. Perhaps we moved on to another project by the time I got this one in. Oh, I, like you, cannot draft if somebody's looking at me. Let me just throw in the door there for now. But with this restroom right here, would you guys feel pretty confident if I gave you this floor plan, whether it was hand drafting or CAD, and I asked you guys to mock up an interior elevation of it? Would you guys feel okay like putting in like a toilet and a sink, maybe a bathtub? Okay. So we're essentially going to do just that tonight, except that we're going to do it starting off in floor plan, and then eventually what we're going to do is we will build an interior elevation out of it as well. So the first step that I want to do tonight is place an interior elevation marker. Now, I know I haven't told you where it is, but where would you guys assume that I would find an interior elevation marker? What was that? Yeah, so it'd be under the view category. Good. And it's actually a little bit hidden. So once you go to view, do you all see that there's an elevation button? But even when you pull down, it still doesn't say interior elevation. So we're actually going to click on elevation. I clicked on elevation. Sorry if you missed it. And then once we do you see that in our properties we can pull down and then we have an option for an interior elevation? I can back up and show that to you guys one more time in case you missed it. I'll do it from the top. So again, view, elevation, I click on it, And then in properties, actually before I even go to properties, do you see this elevation marker right here? That's an exterior elevation marker, and that's not what we're looking for. But if we come down to interior, this is the one that we're looking for right here. And just to let you all know, I'm going to get my arrow pointed the right way. I want to elevate this side of the room. So it's a little bit awkward, but to start off, you can really place it anywhere with any arrow, and we'll fix it in just a minute. So just throw one in there. And then I'll show you how to activate the different views and what it's looking at. Let's check something right now. What are your screen set at right now? Are they set at 1/4 inch? Yeah? Okay. So this is sometimes where I lose people. Now remember that whatever your screen is set here is the scale that it'll print out at. So some people will come here and say, oh, those are so big. I'm going to change this to, let's say, 1/8 inch perhaps. Okay, that got bigger, right? So do you guys understand what's happening where when I go to 1/8 inch, why these look like they're so big? But if I go to, where am I? So there was 1/4, but if I go up to 1/2, they get really small. I'll explain that to you guys, but I'll have to kind of vogue up here a little bit, so bear with me. When you're working in Revit, what it does is it automatically scales the annotation. So even though it looks like it's changing size, it isn't. It's actually staying the same size. Let me go back to 1/4 inch, and we will start with this as kind of like our base model that we're starting with. So right now we have this Revit example. Pretend we have this exact same thing either printed out on a piece of paper or something that we've drawn. Okay, are you guys with me? So I'm going to take 1/4 inch scale and I'm going to bump it up to 1/2 inch. So see that when I made the 1/2 inch scale bigger, this got smaller? At least it looks like it did, but here's what happens. So here's when I have to like stand up and vogue. So if we had a piece of paper, right? And so over here is my 1/4 inch, that's gonna stay the way it is. And my circle is like this big. So about the size of my fist. And then over here, we have the 1/2 inch. And you guys know that 1/2 inch is twice as big as 1/4, right? So we click on the 1/2 inch button and all of a sudden this gets twice as big because it's a bigger scale. So if we were doing our printed version over here, remember my hand that was that big? It got twice as big. Does that make sense? So if we're looking at it on a piece of paper, this 1/4 inch scale over here used to read perfectly. It looked really nice. Everything looked great graphically. What happens if we make it twice as big? It's big now, right? It almost looks like it's yelling at us. This could be notes, it could be title blocks, anything. If you make anything twice as big, or even 2 times as big, or even worse, go the other way, you make it smaller, so it used to fit nicely in my fist is now like this tiny little thing. Basically, even though your plan is getting bigger, your annotations should stay the same size. So let me go back to 1/4 inch and let's take a look at my scale relative to the room. So I'm going to put it in my doorway just for scale reference, okay? So in my doorway, it's about here, okay? But what happens when I go up to 1/2 inch, when my plan gets twice as big, my annotation head is actually staying the same size, so it still reads on the plan. So that means that if right next to this plan on my sheet of paper, if I have a 1/2 inch plan next to a 1/4 inch plan next to an 1/8 inch plan, all of those elevation heads are going to be the same size. If we were doing this by hand or maybe AutoCAD, one of them would be this big, one of them would be 1/2 as big, and one of them would be twice as big. And that's not consistent. So to keep things consistent, again, even though your scale is changing, it's automatically changing your annotation to fit that scale. Are you guys with me on that? Okay. So even though it might look better, like right now at 1/2 inch scale, it's like, oh, it looks better, it's out of the way. We don't print floor plans at 1/2 inch scale. That's an enlarged plan. And so really we want to keep this at 1/4 inch, the scale that we'll be printing it, so we can really see what we're dealing with. Now, if it ever really does get crazy and it gets in the way, I will show you guys how to turn on leaders so that you can essentially still assign it to this room here. See how I kind of bumped it out of the way? There's little tricks on how you can get it out of the way. Everybody kind of clear on scale? If you ever forget, let me know. That's one of those phenomenons that it takes me a minute to explain to people. Okay, and now what we want to do, because we want to elevate this side of our room, I hope you guys notice that when you click on your elevation, there's so many different places to click on. So what I'm really looking for is the outer circle. So right now I hover. When I see that outer circle turn blue, I click on it, and that activates all of the different heads that essentially aren't on yet. So it should be a really simple click on and click off. Like for example, I can turn that off, and this is warning me it's going to be deleted. Because once you've made that view, it makes that view. So I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to delete this one and say OK. Why don't we make these two views right here? So the right arrow and what I would consider the down arrow. So essentially we're looking east and south right now. Everybody got those two okay? Yeah? Here is one other thing that I want you guys to take a peek at. And this is similar to our exterior elevations. We briefly talked about this. So first we clicked on the circle so that we could see which arrows were active and inactive. The next thing you can do is you can click on the arrows themselves. And do you guys see this line that appears right there? That tells you where the interior elevation is actually being taken. So in a bathroom where we have walls, it's really easy to say, take an interior elevation from here to here, right? Let's come into the living room for a minute though. What if we wanted to show an entertainment center on this wall? Everybody go ahead and grab another interior elevation and then place it on this wall and see if you can figure out how to cut it off so it stops at the opening right here. And I'm going to let you guys kind of explore for a minute, and then I'll show you how to walk through it in case it didn't work. All right. I'm going to go ahead and jump in here with you just in case. But when you first put in your interior elevation marker, again, view, elevation, and it remembered last time that I changed it to interior elevation, so it saved it. But if I click here, I got the arrow just fine, but do you see that it has my entire room right now? If I were to double click on it, you guys can see that it goes well past that opening, right? So I'm going to close out of that. And what I can do is back on my floor plan, click on the interior elevation arrow, or what I also refer to as the head. And then if you grab this crop window, I can stop it either like halfway in the doorway or right at the doorway. Let's see how halfway looks. So this kind of lets people know that the room does go on, which is kind of a nice detail to show. But that's how you can control the view in an open space where there's not walls. Do you guys feel kind of comfortable with that? Yeah? Okay. So for our next example, this is going to be super quick. Let's double click on the south view, the arrow that's pointing down towards the door. Let's double click on that and just check out what this looks like. This is what it would look like if we were standing in that room. So similar to any other plan, let's say that when we're looking at this, we decide that this door is way too close to that wall. So you can throw down a distance. Right now I only have 1 3/4. Let's say you want at least a 4-inch gap there. Don't make it 4 feet like I just did. 4 inches. And similar to everything else, when you change it on the interior elevation, it's also going to change it on the plan. I'll just verify that by throwing down another dimension. Mine says 7 inches. Naima, technical difficulties? Let me look at it one more time. Oh, I know why. So the reason why it says 7 inches is because in my plan, I can't see the casing around the door. I had a little bit of a panic. Like, am I lying to them? Am I going too fast? No. I didn't see any yeses. So I'm assuming everything's still okay. You guys are quiet tonight. My last class was quiet too. I think we're like feeling summer, where people are like, it's summer, but we're doing Revit or portfolio, whatever. So not tonight, but the next time that we go through interior elevations, I'm going to show you guys the difference between doing BIM and drafting mode. Okay, so I'm just going to come away from this one right now, and we are going to go into this face right here. So let's double click here. And right now, we essentially have a blank room. We haven't started anything in this view, right? So I'm going to close down my other elevation views. So for now, I really just want my main level and my elevation, and I'm going to tile those so I can work on those two together. I think it helps to really see how you elevate stuff. So I'll hang out here. I'm actually going to tile these one more time. I want my floor plan here. We're going to do a really simple bathroom layout. We're going to do a tub/shower here. We're going to do a toilet next to it, and then whatever's next, we're going to put some sort of vanity next to it, okay? So let's start by going and finding a bathtub. And one thing you'll notice is that to load components, you pretty much have to do it in floor plan. If I tried to load a component in this view, it'll get mad at me. See how it gives me that X? Like, you can't do that. Okay, so I actually have to load those here in the main level. All right, so to find a tub, I don't think we've done this before, at least finding bath fixtures. Let's click on component. And do you guys, if we don't see the bathtub we want in here, there might be a couple tubs, I'm not sure. But if we don't find the one that we want, where do you think we would click first to go find what we have? Yeah, load family. And then from here, I'm still stuck back on doors because I just loaded a door. So I'm going to go back out to the US Imperial folder so I can see everything. And you guys should see a folder called plumbing. Everybody see that? And then once you're in there, I am clicking on architectural. And we want to go to fixtures. Equipment is like water heaters, right? So I'm going to go to fixtures, and here's bathtubs for us. And we pretty much have only two 3D bathtubs to choose from. Do you see that there's a freestanding, and then there's another rectangular tub, and do you see that there's a wall attached to it? That means that it needs a wall to go into the project. That's because it's going to be looking for plumbing. Okay, Let's do this tub rectangular 3D. And let's put it into the corner of our room. Did you get a warning that it was already in the project? Okay, I guess it was already in there. I'm going to go down to tub. Okay. And this one, it wasn't tricky for me to get in, but I kept getting that no, you can't put it here because it was waiting for me to find a wall. Let me do that one more time. So I'm just going to click on component. See how it's like nope, nope. But as soon as I find a wall, it's like, oh, okay, you want to put it on the wall? That's fine. So I'm just going to place it in there. And then once I'm done placing it, I can hit escape. And then you can see what the elevation of that looks like already in my 3D view. So there's my tub. Everybody got a tub in okay? Yeah. Let's go find the toilet. So remember I said tub and then toilet, and whatever's left we're going to do a vanity. And I think, yep, there is a toilet domestic 3D already loaded. You could go to load family. I don't think that there's going to be many other, it's under water closets because we fancy. But there is a domestic 3D or commercial. Let's not do a commercial one. We'll just stick with I'm gonna hit cancel. I'll just do the toilet that's in there. And do you see on my component how the toilet is facing the wrong way? What key have we hit in the past to get things to flip around? Yeah, good. I heard you guys do it before you said it, so good. And I'm just going to throw this down here. Okay. And again, you'll see it come up right away in our interior elevation. And using the interior elevation, I want to make sure that the center of my toilet is 18 inches away from the tub. By code, you need 3 feet of space for your toilet. So that's why I'm going 18. So if I center this, I can put 18 on the other side. You can always do more. You can always put it in a separate actual physical water closet. Is Revit being nice? Is it putting stuff in where you want it to go? Yeah? I hope so. Are you guys ready to go see if we can find a vanity? Yeah. I kind of cheated. When we were looking through our components, I'm pretty sure vanities are already loaded. Maybe. Yeah, do you guys see how there's a vanity cabinet, door sink unit? So we already have some loaded here. I have no idea what size is going to fit, so I might just grab a 3-foot one and throw it in there. And mine is backwards. Do you guys see over here in elevation? I put mine in wrong, and it's still wrong. The arrow I want is hiding right there. There you go. So I still have quite a bit of room here. So I'm going to do my reference planing again. I'm just going to make sure I have my 3 feet here so that I know that this cabinet doesn't go past this point. You guys with me on that? And again, you can go wider if you want there, but it's 3 feet that we need by code. so that when you're looking at it, you should be able to see it. If you can't, you need to click on it, and then it shows you essentially like a wireframe view of it. And then if you click these guys, the face, now when I click off of it over here, whoops. Let me try that one more time. So I'm going to flip the face one more time. Do you see how now it flipped it so that it's away from me? No? So Raquel, come to your elevation for me. I want to and zoom in just a little bit so I can see it a little bit better. Click off of it. Okay, so it's still backwards. So come find it in plan for me. Okay. And then see how you have these two arrows running horizontally? Click on those once. And then when you go back to your view, it should have made it so it's right. Yeah, so if you look at mine, it does move it back and forth too. So look at my screen. So when you flip it, it really does flip the whole thing. And then you flip it back into place. So you might have to flip it and then move it. Oh my gosh, I'm so sad. You know you're getting old when like... No, I swear it's not disappearing. It's going, so look at my screen. Yours is doing exactly what mine is doing. When you flip yours, it's going outside of your room.
Right, so I moved it back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. One other thing to check, so try this too. With your elevation marker, okay, click on that arrow. And let me try this. See where mine is right now, how it's like right before the front face of my cabinet? If it cuts through the cabinet, do you see how it also disappears? Do you see how now it's showing me kind of like the framework of that cabinet? So you might even need to grab your view and pull it back a little bit so you can see the entire cabinet. Do you think that's it?
So I just did that.
Uh-huh.
Maybe that was it. Still is showing me that.
Okay. Does it work? I'm like, what? This is how old I am. Like every joke I want to make, the memes don't even exist for me to share the joke. Like the other day, does anybody remember the show Blossom? No one.
The show is, but not enough to reference a certain scene.
Oh, I'm so old. Her brother says this thing all the time, and I tried telling it to my student. She was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, I'm going to stop talking and pretending I'm cool. And I was recording that whole time. That was great. All right, bonus content in our lecture tonight. That will be my extra credit this week. What is Blossom's brother's key phrase? Does anybody know? Oh my God, you guys really don't know. So you guys will have to research it on your own. That will be an extra credit question. Raquel, did it finally work?
Yes.
Yay. Sorry, I wasn't even thinking about where the elevation line was. Okay, cool. All right, so what size vanity did you guys finally place for it to work?
48 inches.
Yep, I was able to get 48 inches in there too. Depending on how you did your space, it could be a little bit more, a little bit less, but I was able to get 48 inches. Emily, what about you? Was that a yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has a little bit extra space, but like it's still fine.
All right, that's okay. As long as it's close and you've got your 36 inches here, I'm happy. Tell me some troubleshooting. Again, I promise Revit doesn't pay me to say these things, but I do love it so much because as we're working on our floor plan, we see what's going on here, and we can see some problems here. What's my problem here? Yeah, there is a lot of clutter in my floor plan, but my door swing and my cabinet are not friends. So a 34-inch door does not work for me here. I'm going to see if a 30-inch door would work. Whoa, don't do a 30-inch sliding double door. I'm going to do just a regular 30-inch door. And I might just have to let go of trying to have, you know, the 6 inches where I wanted the 6 inches, and maybe just cram my my frame into the corner.
So there's no like minimum wall space or anything like that?
Usually us contractors would be able to get a door flush, but sometimes they like at least one stud to be there. And that math is hard because it's 1.5 inches plus 5/8 drywall. So it's like a little bit above 2 inches. So 3 inches is a safe number because that's enough for a stud and some drywall. But sometimes they can make them flush, but you just have to tell them beforehand because it takes some planning if it's not obvious. Okay, so let me go back over here. So now I've got it to fit at the expense of a door. Now, one thing to be careful about before you make your doors so small is that some of this stuff, even your toilets, they can get kind of big. So make sure you can still fit this stuff through the door, especially bathtubs. This might be a situation where the bathtub has to go in before the door does because it might be wide and awkward and who knows. But keep that in mind as you're adding stuff. Let's try to add a countertop on top of this as well. And actually, again, I'm cheating, but I'm pretty sure when I went to component, the countertop was already there. Yep, vanity counter with hole. I didn't. I always use my plan. It isn't happy if I try to do it in my elevation. It'll give me a warning. So for those of you guys who did watch the video on Tuesday, if you don't like this countertop that has the backsplash on it, you could make your own extrusion now and build a custom, essentially, countertop that's just flat across that area if you wanted to. Okay, now that we've got that in, what I want to do is show you guys these BIM links again, so that if you wanted to do more than just what was in your CAD plan, we could do more than just what's like the standard Revit details. You could come in here and let's see, I don't have Kohler listed here. Let me add Kohler to the list. But everybody, hop online and let's just go to Kohler.com. So in your search bar, just type in Kohler. And we're going to look for some toilets and bathtubs. Brooke, step away from the elevation. We'll come back.
I can't figure out the counter.
Oh, it should usually just pop in right on top. Is it giving you an error or anything?
It's going in sideways.
Okay, so hit spacebar and it should flip it. Okay, the song didn't even help. Dang it! Do you guys even know the song, Whip It? If you don't, you should. Check out those hats, man. Jeez. Okay, so here, let's just go to bathroom. And we're looking, I said toilets, right? Yeah. Let's go to toilets. And let's see what kind of fancy toilets Kohler has. What do you guys want to do? There's 4 that we can choose from, 4 categories. Intelligent, 2-piece, 1-piece, or wall hung? What would you like? Intelligent? I knew you guys would. Okay, so there are only 4, it looks like, to choose from. Should we just pick the most expensive? The new me? 8 G's for a toilet, y'all. Okay, let's see if an 8 grand toilet has Revit models. So this is one of those things too where these change quite a bit. Like this website will totally change. So I can tell you exactly where to go and put a link in there that might be gone in 2 months when they redo their website. Now I have to tell you it's a lot easier because I come here. Is there an RVT file? RFA. I think we can do an RFA file. Let me check. Yeah. RFA, why can't I think of, I'm so embarrassed. I can't think of what an RFA file is, but we can use it in Revit. Oh, Revit Family. Naima, come on. Speaking of summer mode, okay. So click on the RFA, the Revit Family. And then when you try to open it, it's asking me to upgrade it. Are you guys there too? Okay. And then in my other view, here's my crazy toilet family. And have we done this before where we have to load into project and close, or is this a first? Is this a first? Okay, so what this is in the past we have all accidentally clicked on something, whether it's a toilet or annotation, and it opens up what's called the family. See how this is all a little bit different? Like there's no architecture menu or anything like that. Right now, what we're in is the main family file where this toilet gets edited. And we don't want to be here. We just want the model. And so whenever we open up a component like this, especially building models, not necessarily annotation, we want to do load into project and close. So everybody click on that. And if you go to your floor plan, I would hope that if we found a wall, it would let us put it in. We're about to find out. So, let's see, main floor blue. Okay, I'm gonna try one thing while we're here. Does anybody see a toilet yet? Nope, just an error message. Okay, I'm gonna try to place it in one more time. Okay, so change one thing for me. If you guys go to component, okay, this is also something that's a little bit new, but do you see how it's asking you to place it on vertical face, place on face, or place on work plane? Let's place it on our work plane. So that just means we're working on the floor plan. Put it in the floor plan for me, and now you should be able to actually see the toilet and spin it around like we did other stuff. I'm actually going to put it right on top of my other toilet, and I'll delete the old one. Does anybody want me to show them how I brought that in one more time? Yeah? Okay. I'm going to back up a whole bunch. So if you click on component, it should be loaded up already, right? Okay. Do you see how over here on the right side, by default, it's going on a vertical face or face?
I'm not getting those symbols to pop up.
Not yet? Okay. Do you have a toilet loaded right now?
Yeah, it's there.
What's on this side?
It just has like the by face. Oh, just wall vertical dormer, grid set, show left explain view.
Right now, make sure that you're not in one of these other menus. Click on, do you see something that's like light green that says modify in place component?
Oh, there it goes.
Are you in the right place now? Okay, cool. So from here, place on work plane, and you should actually see it come up on your floor plan. Now I will try to remember to tell you guys that a few more times. It just doesn't come up a lot, and so we don't have a lot of practice with this stuff. But if you're ever trying to load something in and it's just not working in the floor plan view, remember, go to the placement of it and change it to work plane. Okay, are you guys happy with your fancy toilet? Okay, $8,000, I hope you're happy. Some people, I'm telling you, even with an $8,000 toilet, they're still not happy. Let's go find a bathtub too. Let's make this extra fancy. Let's go try to find a ridiculously expensive bathtub. And with this one, because there are so many, let's try to narrow it down a little bit. Do you see how on the left side you can narrow it down? Now remember, in 2 months this could be completely different, but let's go to hydrotherapy. I like this category. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I don't even know what an effervescent bath is, but I want one. I don't think we can put one of these in our... Should we find out if we can use... $14,000. Good God, I love this. So I don't know if this will go in our floor plan. Should we find out? There's one that's 60 inches? Where? Oh, yeah. There's another problem. Okay, fine. Let's not waste our time with this one. 72, 66. Oh, man. Sold. Where's that one? All right. Okay, so Whirlpool, and you found one that was 60 inches? Is it the Archer 60 by 30? Okay. Okay, cool. $5,000, fine. I can't believe we're spending more on a toilet than our tub, but that's okay. This one's just fine. Grab any one of them, really. And let's, okay, you can know my location, that's fine. Let's make sure that there is a Revit file for it. Okay, so this one doesn't have one. There's a SketchUp file, 3ds Max Studio. So let's go back to the drawing board. And honestly, in my actual practice, this is how it goes. You just never know if it's going to have a Revit model or not. So I'm going to try a different one and see if it has a Revit file. This one does not. I'm going to check out the soakers to see if any of those have a Revit file. Oh, that's cute. Oh my gosh, these little old school soaking tubs have nothing. Like not even a CAD file. If they have Revit for the $600 tub, they do. How is it that you get a Revit file for a $600 tub and not a $5,000 tub? Hey, any other luck with Revit files out there?
I found one that's called Stargaze.
Stargaze? What is it under? Just so I'm not scrolling forever. Or let me do this. It's just called Stargaze. Here, I'll do this. Okay. So Stargaze 60 by 34. That sounds good to me. There we go. 3D CAD files. Woohoo! So really at this point, find any tub that you like, upgrade the model, and then we're going to do the same load into project and close. And I'm just kind of testing out to see how this one pulls in. Oh gosh, so what's wrong with my tub right now? Right, so before I even click, I'm going to do place on work plane, and it fixes it for me. I kind of like the Stranger Things, though. It's kind of like, do you guys know Stranger Things at least? Please tell me. Okay. Doesn't mean you like it, but thank you for knowing it.
My tummy has pink lines. Is that just...
Weird. Like, now that you've placed it, it's pink?
Yeah.
Dang it. Unfortunately, you can't change that, just because, especially with like a Kohler product, once you get their file, you just kind of get what you get.
You can't edit it?
No, it's so tricky because since it's 3D, if I double click on this and I go back into family mode, do you see how this is just kind of like one solid, you can't edit me type thing? It's a completely different ball game. And even myself in my own practice, I wouldn't. I would probably just leave it. It would drive me crazy, but I would leave it. There you go. There's my giant Kohler tub here. I'm going to move this away from the wall a little bit. And then, of course, because of that, I'd have to move my toilet a little bit. Okay. What I'm really trying to get at here is right now, just based on the Kohler site, are you guys comfortable looking for Revit models, downloading them, opening them, like loading them into your project? Yeah? Okay. What we're working on tonight, and you can do your exercise here in class, and if you have time, you can also do your assignment too, but I really just want to show you guys how painstaking it can be trying to find Revit models of everything. It does certainly pay off, but we haven't found, like on the Kohler website, we didn't go so far as to get like the shower heads or the faucets, anything like that. So there still is more to do here. And one other thing that you can also do is under the BIM links, this BIM Italia has turned into one of our students' favorite links. Oh no, see, it changed already. We'll find it. Let me go here. The link that I used to have took you straight to their BIM library. But what I am looking for, let me do this. And I can't spell. What? Okay, never mind. They are really good for sofas. I thought, I could have sworn that they used to have like some millwork and things like that. Why can't I find it? Will you help me find it?
I just Googled Italia BIM.
Yeah? Did it come up with vanities? That's what I'm looking for. So, and I could be wrong, they might not have casework. So there's a couple tables, but honestly, I think it's mostly going to be sofas. But this is really part of what happens with these BIM sites. So again, there will be links, just like B&B Italia, that have now expired. But let me go to this one right here. So there are some case goods. Okay. Do you guys see anywhere on here? Usually it says for professionals and we can find BIM. No. I know it's on here, people. I just don't know where they moved it. Oh, wait, here we go. I'm sorry, their website's crazy now. Do you see how in this tiny gray lettering amongst everything, it's like, here's our products. Do you guys see that? not easy to find anymore. But let me go to, so they don't have vanities, but they do have small tables, storage units, wardrobes. Let me look at a wardrobe, just out of curiosity. But they have this particular product, and under dimensions in CAD, I should have, I should be able to get a BIM object of this. Oh wait, those are just the images, sorry. This has changed so much. That's what I'm looking for. Do you see how it took me like 10 clicks to get here? Eventually it asks you if you want a Revit file. There's not a Revit file right now. I don't know why. It only has a texture. That is so strange. Let me go back. I'm going to keep looking. I know that they do have really good Revit files once you can find them. They're not making it easy for us to actually find it, but I do know that they exist. Let me go back here. If I can't find it with the wardrobe, I'll show you their sofas. Their sofas are great. And again, I'm only getting textures here. It's so bizarre. So here, take a look at my screen. I don't think it's really intuitive how this works, but if there's a check mark down here, that means it's available in this format. So because I have a check, that means that I can select Revit and confirm and proceed. And then you get a zip folder with the Revit folder in it. So eventually I was able to find this sofa, which looks a little crazy. I'm gonna throw in a 3D camera. So here's my Stranger Things house with the tub that's sideways. And I usually appreciate good design, but good God, I just don't know, man. Let's see what that looks like rendered. It's pretty crazy. Yep. Fun. It's like I don't know. At least I found a sofa. I'm happy I finally found a sofa. They are in there. I don't know why they're so buried, but they didn't get rid of them. You just have to really dig through to find them. So on all of these links that I've given you, there's different things. Sub-Zero is amazing for refrigerators and ovens. So here it takes you right to the trade page, but it still isn't easy to find. But let me just show you. So if I wanted a refrigerator, let me go to Designer Refrigeration. Let me grab, no, that's an under counter. Okay, never mind. I'm just gonna go to Classic Refrigeration. I want you guys to see something that looks like a refrigerator. This is a really narrow refrigerator, but somewhere in here, there is a Revit file. Do you guys see that? Okay. Okay, this is why this is so confusing. So we have a left hand and a right hand, and then left hand, right hand. These are all of the different models that you can get of it. I'm just gonna go ahead and go for a left hand one. So load into project and close. I think our kitchen was in here somewhere. Let me throw in another camera. I don't think I placed that correctly. That's why it's being cut off right here. But their Revit files are pretty amazing as far as like detail goes and putting it into a rendering. That's taking too long. I'll just do realistic. Okay. So all of those are here. And what I'm looking for is for your exercise. So you're going to be doing this for the 2-bedroom house as well as this project. I want you guys to go find custom components for the bathrooms, the bedroom, and the living room. The hardest one that I want you guys to at least start would be the kitchen. Because remember, kitchens are individual cabinets. So I want you to start one, but just know that you probably won't be able to get it perfect, to be completely honest. And that's because nobody gives out their kitchen cabinets for free anymore. We have like one link that's left for us. Okay? And the way that this works is you find the kitchen cabinet that you like. So if I like this profile right here, what ends up happening, see how there's 175 pieces? There's 175 different components for me to build a kitchen, essentially. So you don't have to get all of them, but you can see the Revit stuff. There's a countertop, a bookcase, cabinet. How many of you guys have taken a kitchen and bath already? None of you guys have. You might have to do a whole class on just the kitchen. Don't do the kitchen. We'll do a whole class on the kitchen. This will be important because Jerry will want you to know. Do you see how they have a spec book in here? Just a PDF. I always recommend people, oh, don't make me do this. Let's use Google. To download that first so you know what the components are and then use that to build your kitchen. A little bit of history. In the past, even up until a year ago, we used a different program in the kitchen and bath class. It was called Pro Kitchen. And it's free when you're in school. They use it at like Lowe's and Home Depot. And the crazy thing about it is not only do you build a kitchen, but once you build it, you actually send it to the mill and they cut those cabinets for you. It does everything in one. But the problem is that once you're out of school, you can't use the program and it doesn't work to do like an entire construction drawing set. And so we kind of decided that our students, it would be beneficial, you know, since you already know Revit, to build your kitchen in Revit. And so this is what you'll actually be using for the class. So the spec book will give you guys a little bit of background as far as what the different pieces are. So you could find, you know, the different base cabinets and why they're named the way that they are. There might be like a certain door style that you can't find the name for. It'll really have everything in there. And they have Revit files of all of this stuff. So let's save the kitchen. But for now, if you can at least, I want you to at least start it. So place the interior elevation views, place some cabinets, but it doesn't have to be perfect by any means, right? Just kind of get it started so you understand the process of where the cabinets are, how to download them. And please use these cabinets. Don't use what's in Revit. Please use these specific ones here, okay? So it's, I think that you'll spend a lot of time on this just because you can get lost on the internet looking for components to download and play and have fun. So set a time limit this week. But again, I want to see both the tiny house and your casita, bedroom, living room, one bathroom, and then start your kitchen. And not only are you going to be putting it on plan, but you'll be putting in the interior elevation markers and then placing those onto sheets. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? And all of this is BIM. We're going to show you guys how to draft it up next week. Before I lose you guys to lab time, short lecture tonight, isn't it amazing? It's just kind of an over an hour. there's a couple things that I wanted to point out that I was noticing as I was grading. So I wanted to share with everybody things that I kept marking down. I was like, I don't want to mark this down. So we're going to have a couple extra credit opportunities to make up for those points. So two of the main comments that I kept making is your PDFs were not to scale. That kept coming up. Like people were using the wrong size paper for their prints. So make sure to go and watch that printing video and make sure that the paper size that you are selecting in Revit can accommodate your the actual paper space layout that you're working in. What is most common is you guys will be using a 24 by 36 inch sheet to print our 22 by 34. So it should look just like that. I can eyeball it in like 5 seconds and know. But this week I saw a lot of letter size, like 8.5 by 11 or even 11 by 17, get squeezed in like this. Again, to my eye, it pops out really quickly, okay? That was the first thing. Know your sheet, man, okay? So just make sure whatever it is, it prints out at 100%. We don't want any scaling. When you watch that video, remember the thing that I said, turn off the zoom to fit? Turn that off, because then you'll immediately see on the 8.5 by 11, it'll look so crazy because you will just see like one tiny crazy portion of like your writing here and then maybe a little bit of your plan. So you'll know immediately like, oh, that piece of paper is too small, okay? I want everybody to get full points on that next time. The other thing is to just make sure that you are naming your sheets as I have asked. So if it says I-201 interior or I-201 exterior elevations, make sure that your exterior elevation sheets don't say A2 with the exterior elevations. The naming that we're using is part of a national CAD standard, and so that I stands for interior, or if it's architectural work you're doing, it would be A, so it designates who we are as professionals. If it was an electrical engineer, it would be an E. If it was a civil engineer, it would be C. So that first designation is really important because it's telling everybody who we are on the project team. And then we're not going to get into all of this, but on an exterior sheet, that 2 means exterior elevation. So if somebody really knew their stuff, you wouldn't even have to write exterior elevation if they saw an I2. And then that 01 means it's the first sheet of the exterior elevations. Got it? If we were doing sections, that 3, the 3 stands for sections. So again, if you really knew your stuff, if somebody just put I3, they would know that it's an interior designer showing me a section of something. And 01 means it's the first sheet of sections, and then 02 would be the next sheet. The reason why we don't use 00 is because there's no such thing as a nothing sheet. There's always a first page of something. You can have no money. That's why we have zeros. Like you can have no money, but when you're making a plan set, there's always going to be a sheet there. So that's why it always starts at 01 and then 02. So watch those as well. I just made comments on those just to let you guys know. But those are the two things that I corrected several times, and I just want to make sure that this week, review those things and then check on your sheets, and I'll definitely give you guys some extra credit. That should be pretty easy to make those up this week, okay? Any questions on those two particular things or anything else that came up in my comments? If you were like, I have no idea what you're talking about, Naima. No? Not yet? Okay.